We don't have much time. There is a new game week right around the corner, so let's look at how I'm lining up for game week 14 in FPL. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Now, going into game week 13, it was supposed to be one of the toughest game weeks for me. I had a lot of players with a lot of tough fixtures, and a lot of my opponents were using the free hit chip, which gave them a massive advantage over me using my regular players who had some tough fixtures, but it turned out to be my best game week of the season. It was my second highest game week rank of the season. The only game week I had a better game week rank was when I used my triple captains. So, you know, in terms of not using a chip, this has been my best game week all season, and I couldn't be happier. I nearly kept Saar and didn't bring in Phil Foden because I thought there was a chance Saar could do well and get some points, while Foden had been on some bad form, but the underlying data and the fixture was all pointing towards Foden, so I took that risk. I went from Saar to Foden, and it ended up being a 14-point swing. I could have kept Dan Burn in my team, but I instead sold Senesi to Vandenberg to play over Dan Burn, and that ended up losing me 3 points. But all in all, I really cannot complain. Vandenberg, after the AFCON transfers come in, has a really good fixture run, so he's good to keep for the long term. Bruno missed out on DEFCONs by 1 point again, guys. I'm gutted. Well, not really, because he got me 2 assists and a few bonus points too. I could not be happier with him. Bruno got 2 assists from 2 free kicks, and I sometimes stress the importance in my videos of Bruno being on all the set pieces Man United and how crucial it is. Well, Manchester United are now tied first for set piece goals in the Premier League, excluding penalties, tied with Arsenal, which I don't think anyone expected. So Bruno being on a lot of these corners and a lot of these free kicks is so crucial for him getting points. We also had 2 forwards do quite well. Mateta with a 6-pointer, even though he could have scored maybe another goal, and Thiago playing really well with yet another penalty. Guys, let me share you Thiago's expected goals in the last 4 game weeks compared to his non-penalty expected goals in the last 4 game weeks. It's unreal. We've been quite lucky as owners. Well, I say that the last 2 game weeks I've owned him and he missed a penalty for me, so I've not been super lucky, but fairly fortunate to say the least. This game week he did really well for me and got me 13 points. So we had an amazing game week. We went from 43k to 18k overall. What a massive jump, a push towards the top 10k. Guys, let's look at my plans for game week 14 and how my team should be lining up. Guys, the next 2 fixtures are a lot more important to target than the 4 that follow, because you get 5 free transfers ahead of game week 16. And a lot of people are going to have the problem of not having enough transfers to use before they get topped up to 5 free transfers. Also, just so you know, you can use these 5 free transfers in future game weeks. You don't need to use them all in game week 16. Anyway, let's move forward. These teams that have really good fixtures for the next 2 game weeks are the ones you want to buy players from, because looking at other teams, looking towards the future, you don't need to plan ahead too much, because when you get 5 free transfers, you can bring all those players with good fixtures from game week 16 onwards in without stressing about it right now, because the game gives you so many free transfers. I mean, you look at a team like Man United, they're top here because they have good fixtures across the next 2 and also the 4 that follow. So they're a very good team to target. But just keep in mind, Mbeumo is probably leaving to AFCON in game week 16 as well. But if you look towards a team like Brighton, I'm considering selling Thiago for Welbeck, because I only need to think about the next 2 game weeks. Welbeck has a great 2 game weeks coming up. Aston Villa, when they play away, are not a great team. So playing home to Aston Villa is a good fixture, and playing home to West Ham is amazing. Despite them seeing some good results under Nuno, their data is roughly the same. They're not improving too much just yet. So when I get Welbeck in, I'll use him for home to Aston Villa, home to West Ham. Hopefully he gets me some points. Then the game blesses me with 5 free transfers, so what he placed away to Liverpool and away to Arsenal, I can just sell him when I get my free transfers. You guys get what I'm trying to say? Annoyingly, I am priced out by 0.1 million of going from Thiago to Voltemado, which is what I would 1000% do if I could afford it. Thinking back to all those price rises I missed, thinking my budget wouldn't matter too much, has kind of come back to bite me. I'm quite upset about it, but the game's the game. Maybe Welbeck could outscore Voltemado across the next 2 game weeks. I doubt it, but we just don't know. It's a lesson I have to learn. Sometimes I do need to target value instead of, you know, waiting for information and making my transfers on the deadline. Okay, so into the team. Sanchez playing away to Leeds. I know Leeds sit 18th, and, you know, playing away to Leeds I put down as a grey fixture. Some people may disagree. They think it should be a green fixture. But the underlying data points to Leeds actually being one of the better teams in the bottom half of the table. They've scored less than they should have due to poor finishing, and due to poor goalkeeping, they've conceded a lot more than they should have, or due to good finishing. I've not been watching many of the games, so playing away to Leeds isn't easy, but I am adamant that Chelsea are the 2nd best team in the league behind Arsenal, and their defence is actually very solid now. They had bad underlying defensive data, and a lot of people were dissing Sanchez because of it, saying I should sell him, but they were kind of ignoring the fact that Chelsea picked up 5 red cards, like 5 games in a row. I think it was. It might have been 4, it might have been 6. I wasn't keeping count. But when you play with 10 men, your defensive data obviously isn't going to be that good. And they played with 10 men again in game week 13 and they still nearly kept a clean sheet. They only conceded 1 goal to the best team in the league. So Sanchez, I'm more than happy to own. I was debating, switching to a different keeper before I used my wild card in game week 19, the last possible opportunity I could use it. But Sanchez is looking to be one of the best goalkeeper options in the game, so I may as well keep him. I may as well not waste a transfer. Going into the defence, we have Timber home to Brentford. Very optimistic about this one, even though Brentford are on very good form in terms of expected goals, and even their defensive numbers are very good. A lot of their expected goals comes from penalties, so I'm not too worried about Timber's clean sheet odds going, unless Brentford pick up another penalty, which at this point, I don't think we could be surprised. Munoz playing away to Burnley is amazing, guys. Burnley are by far the worst team in the league. I know there are many more points than Wolves, but trust me, Burnley are a lot worse than Wolves in the Premier League. I do think Wolves will still finish above them despite their awful form. Burnley, in terms of expected goals conceded and their expected goals, they're last in both metrics by a long while. So hopefully Munoz can exploit that. Maybe get me a goal and a clean sheet like he did a couple of weeks back. Then we have Dan Burn home to Tottenham. He got me 5 points last game week because of an assist. I don't expect him to get a goal involvement, but Tottenham look pretty awful at the moment. And I know their results playing away from home are better, but yeah, in terms of the underlying data, when Tottenham are home and away, very, very similar. It's just the luck and the outcome they get when they play home compared to when they play away is very different. We then have double Manchester United attack playing home to West Ham, and this is what I held these guys through the Crystal Palace game for. Even though I say I held Bruno through the Crystal Palace game like it was a disadvantage, he still got me loads of points. And playing home to West Ham, I think it's more on Bumo's game. I've said this many times before. Bruno is more likely to get points in the tougher games due to defcons and set pieces, whereas in Bumo, in the easier games where Manchester United are generating more open play expected goals, that's his games. Those are the ones you want to target in Bumo for. So while Bruno was better last week, I think Mbumo is going to be better this week. But, why not own both? They could both do really well playing against one of the worst teams in the league at Old Trafford. I just can't see how it would go wrong. So fingers crossed they do well for me. Although, normally when your players have the easy games and you think they're going to do well, it's when they play awful. And when they have the tough games, it's when they randomly do well. So we'll see how it goes. Then we have Phil Foden away to Fulham. Now, Fulham are a weird one. I put this as a green fixture. I think playing away to Fulham is slightly easier than playing away to Leeds, which I know a lot of people disagree with. But while Fulham have picked up in form, they're still one of the worst teams in the league in terms of expected goals conceded and expected goals. So I back Man City to score a few goals against these guys. For Phil Foden, I don't expect a ton from him. I mean, 15 points last game week is more than I could ask for. So even if he blanks for the next 3 games in a row, I can't even be mad. But, if he wants to get points, feel free, Foden, be my guest. I am also one of the few people to hold on to Semenyo, despite a lot of people selling him, which I understand, but I don't think it's the right move. I think Semenyo is still a very good FPL asset. Finally, in the front line, we could go against Haaland captain, but we're not going to go against Haaland captain. I know we've got a lot of options, Double Manchester United attack home to West Ham. We could pick one of those guys. We could pick Mateta, but then again, the rotation risk of Mateta is quite scary, so we really wouldn't. The reason I'm not picking Bruno and Mbumo is because Manchester United are way too inconsistent. I think Haaland, while he is still playing an easy fixture, is easily the best captain to go for, and I don't think many people are going to disagree with me there. Mateta, I just talked about a bit. Will he be rotated now Sarah's injured? I doubt it. I think Mateta is going to be fine to play, even though he's been quite frustrating for Crystal Palace fans at the moment. He's been missing a lot of big chances. I think he's going to be just fine in that starting 11. He may not play the full 90. He may only play 60 minutes, but playing away to Burnley, he could still bag a couple goals from that. So I'm not really too worried. And then the current plan is sell Thiago to bring in Danny Welbeck playing home to Aston Villa. I already talked about Danny Welbeck a bit when we looked at the fixtures. I sort of told you my plans to bring him in. And that is still the plan because, I can't afford Voltemade unless FPL releases a new chip where I can get 0.1 mil in the bank for free. I'm kind of stuck with going for Danny Welbeck. There were different options. Tieno Barry has a good matchup because Bournemouth conceded a lot of expected goals to strikers. Igor Jesus playing away to Wolves isn't so bad. At the end of the day, I'm not going to overcomplicate yet. Welbeck, even though he only played 65 minutes last game week, is fairly reliable for minutes. His underlying data is good. I can't say the same for any other striker except Voltemade. So we're going with Danny Welbeck. I think he's the best replacement. Obviously, I've not made this move just yet, but I can't see myself changing my mind anytime soon. Anyway, guys, that is it from me. Thank you very much if you made it this far. You are greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think of my team down below. And if you have any questions about your own teams, leave them down in the comments and I will see you all in the next video.